What do you say to a quarterback when throws for 0 yards in the first half? Obviously, a lot of that was game script and the way the game is going. But what do you, as a coordinator, say to him?
We'll talk at half and make any adjustments that we need to, and then go out and attack the second half.
What do you say to your receivers after throwing for 0 yards?
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar. All those conversations that happen at halftime, talk about what we did well, what we could do better, and then what that plan of attack could be for the second half. And, whether it's certain schemes or certain plays, we'll talk about, discuss it, and handle it from there.
Any differences with Tracy with a full week as opposed to last week, not really knowing the uncertainty is if he was going to make it through the concussion protocol, and what does that say for him over the last month and the growth that he's taken as a player?
I'd say from a prep standpoint, nothing has changed. Just whatever the doctors give us in terms of practice reps is what kind of what we lean on. So, but the prep has been the same, and Coach Thomas does a great job in the running back room getting those guys prepped. I think Tracy's just continuing to, as a young player, continuing to grow, continuing to learn. There's things that he's seeing that are new to him every single week, every single day in practice. So he's banking all those experiences, and I think it will just continue to pay off for him as he gets more time there.
With a young player, you usually see it stack in a good way. Jaylen Hyatt was more productive and played more last year. What have you seen from him this year? Because I think if you look at the numbers or the playing time, the natural reaction is he's taking a step backwards.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it that. I think Jaylen's, taking advantage of all his opportunities. He's working his tail off in practice, and he's working on the fundamental, those things that we talked about in the offseason and through training camp. He's taking that opportunity and that time right now to work on it. And so when his time's called, whenever that may be, he'll be ready. Be prepared, because that's what he's been working to do.
You have a guy with a very specific skill set, though. I mean, he's very fast and can get downfield, and he has 1 catch for 6 yards. So do you guys have to do a better job as coaches, as schemers, trying to get him involved?
Yeah, and that's kind of how, when we talk about the game plan, putting these guys in certain spots, whether it's Jaylen or Malik or the backs, the tight ends. I mean, we think about all those things, and depending on how the game goes, how the flow of the game goes, how that determines what kind of defenses they're playing, may give us those opportunities or take them away, and we have to adjust.
Why do you think it hasn't worked then for him so far this year? I mean, obviously the results are the results.
I think just opportunities. I don't think he's had enough opportunities to do it, and any week could present those, whether more or less. When they show up, I'm confident that Jaylen will be able to make those plays.
Question I would only ask you this week: are you German in any way?
I'm not. At least I don't know that I know.
Last name sounds like a good name.
No, I think it's kind of in that Czech region, is what my grandparents have told me.
What are you expecting from the experience?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a cool opportunity. Anytime you get to go overseas and play a football game, I've had a couple in my career, and it's a new venue. There's obviously fans and excitement from around the league. But at the end of the day, it's a business trip, and we're excited to go and play the Panthers and do our best.
There are many times where you get to experience something that's pretty much new for everybody, right? So how do you kind of navigate through that point?
I'd say, just getting them prepared, whether it's showing them what the layout of the stadium looks like, how long the bus drive is going to be, just kind of giving them prep as much as you possibly can. You maybe talk about what the field conditions could look like, the weather. I think for some, I think there's a pretty good amount of guys that have played in overseas games, but the guys that haven't, it's going to be a new experience. So it's getting out early, it's checking the field, making sure you have the right cleats. But at the end of the day, it's like any other stadium that you'd go to in the U.S. and and the field's going to be the same length, all those things. And once you start playing, you're kind of playing. So I think that from just a player's perspective, that's how you kind of approach it. But sure, like all the lead up, all the travel, all the stuff that we have to deal with, that's all new and that's all different.
Is it more like I've never been to an international game, so I've always heard that there's a pretty steady buzz in the crowd. It's not like a home game where they're quiet on offense and loud on defense, or vice versa on the road. So how does the atmosphere of the crowd, you said you've been to a bunch of international games, how does that affect offensive operation?
This would be my third. But you're right. There is a little bit of a buzz, just kind of constant throughout, because there could be fans from other teams and just from the area that are just fans of the NFL and fans of football. So, I think you got to anticipate kind of using both, whether it's silent count or verbal. When you get into certain situations, you might want to use silent, might be a little bit louder. I know they're particularly more loud when the kicking team's out there. So just based on, soccer and all that. So, that's kind of part of it. We're prepared for it. We've been talking about it all week.
Big Bayern Munich fan?
I haven't caught a game. No, I haven't caught a game yet, yeah.
What do you know about them in Germany in particular?
Be honest, I haven't watched a whole lot of, German soccer.